Alright, this has been a real pain in my butt. I broke this screen trying to take it off this phone, but luckily I had a spare, so I just put it on. The problem was that the microphone, or not the microphone, the speaker there was buzzing like crazy, and I didn't know why. But I don't want to open it up to show you, but there is in fact, a little speaker in here. And that speaker needs to contact, you see those two pads? Those two gold pads right there? It needs to contact that properly in order to make a sound. If it doesn't do that properly, I don't think, it starts buzzing and it's really annoying. And I couldn't fix that. So that is what was wrong with the phone. Anyway, that's not what today's video is about. Today's video, if I can clear my desk off a little bit, is going to be about my favorite rectangles. My favorite black rectangles. This is not one of them. I used to think this was a great product, and it still is pretty good. I do like this phone compared to other phones on the market. This tripod is annoying. Let's get the other tripod. It is a good product for what's on the market right now, the Sony Xperia XZ1 Compact, but the main problem that I'm having is that phones in general just suck. And, okay, with that being said, phone sucking, that's a problem. We need to come up with solutions to that problem. And the main solution that I've come up with is to decentralize your technology. You know, this phone is supposed to be like an MP3 player. It's supposed to be everything you want it to be, really. A camera, freaking, you know, calorie tracker, whatever. All of these things, and it only does them so well. But the problem with centralizing your technology like that is, like I said, if you break it, it's you're left with nothing. You have nothing. So the goal shouldn't be to have a phone that does everything, but it should be to have a phone that makes calls very well. Lest you end up like this one. You know, I have a new battery and everything. I think this phone, part of me likes it more because I broke the seal and now it's easier to take apart and get into. Because I have spare parts. I have a battery, I have a headphone jack that can go in there. But, like I said, decentralizing your technology, you get to a point where you're like, man, I don't want this to do everything anymore. I want to have dedicated devices that do dedicated things, and that's where this thing comes in right here. I just got this not long ago, a few months ago, but I only got the parts in the mail recently to put this whole thing together. Oh, I think it was loading the database there. Yeah, so this is an iPod 5th generation, and I got this because pretty much because of this phone, right? You have a device that's good at doing one thing and doing it very well, right? And this is what this is. So I have a lot of music on here. I just put some Clairo. I've been bumping Clairo. And basically, what prompted me to get this device was to have an alternative to using this. Not only is it harder to use this for listening to music because you get, you know, a worse DAC, digital to analog converter, but it's also the case that you're interrupted all the time with one of these. You know, you get a call on this phone and it's like this is super glue, by the way. You're totally taken away from the music. With this, you don't have to worry about distractions. You can see it's kind of scratchy there. I just ordered some silver polish because I've heard Brasso works very good for getting these scratches out. But you're not going to be distracted on this like you are on a phone. You're not going to be able to get notifications. You know, it's purely a listening device. Now, keeping in track with that theme here, I also want to show you something else that I have, and it's this device right here. This is my Kobo. And this is the Kobo Glow Original. I think there's another like HD series or whatever. I forget what it is. It's a better quality one, but I found this at a thrift store for $10, believe it or not. $10 for this thing, and it had a battery issue. Like the battery was dead on it, so I bought another battery for about $20, and it's, you know, total $30 for a working Kobo. Now, what's special about this Kobo is that it actually has a custom firmware on it. So if I go into you know, more tools, I could go to a terminal emulator. Yeah, I can open a terminal emulator on this thing, and it's basically like a Linux device, right? Isn't that cool? You can't do that on a regular Kobo. And same with this thing. Same with this thing right here. I should mention that this is running Rockbox. This is running an open source firmware that replaces or works in tandem with the original firmware. Now, I see a lot of YouTubers online, they're posting a lot about digital minimalism, getting a Kobo or an e-reader, and getting, you know, a portable MP3 player to replace your phone, so the phone doesn't have as many functions that it needs to fulfill, that you decentralize your stuff. But keeping in theme with this digital minimalism, you should also make sure that the software and the firmware that you run is also minimal. You know, a lot of people, they get an iPhone mini, iPhone 13 mini, and they're like, oh, it's so small, it's so sleek. This is what digital minimalism is all about. No, it's not what digital minimalism is all about. Digital minimalism is about having your freaking status bar as a line of text on your operating system. You don't need anything more than a line of text, right? You have a freaking application launcher. I have a freaking line of text. I have a line of text. You can search all sorts of things. You could search what I've been using recently, PiCard. PiCard, it opens up, and this is a software that takes your music that you have MP3 files for, or any kind of file really, and it finds the metadata. This has been super useful. So if you're downloading music and it doesn't have the right metadata, or it doesn't have any metadata at all, you put it into this PiCard software. I'm not really focused right now, but that's okay. You put it into this PiCard software, and what it does is it searches the internet. It scans the file and it searches the internet for the metadata for that file, like the album cover, the album name, you know, the song name, artists, all that kind of stuff. So really useful if you're putting music on this MP3 player, which I've been doing recently. Now, another rectangle that I like. I'm just gonna go through my list of black rectangles that I really appreciate. It's this thing right here. This thing is a Casio PQ11 digital alarm clock, and I got it at the thrift store for $2. Now, I wanted an alarm clock that didn't have anything to do with my phone, just as a backup, because if you have it on your phone, and your phone dies, or like, I don't know, your phone's volume or ringtone is, I guess that doesn't affect the alarm. But what I'm getting at is, it's not always reliable. This thing is dedicated, and it's made to be an alarm clock, or just a clock. And this can sit by my bed, and I can turn the alarm on, like that. And you can see here, there's a little icon on it, if it'll focus. Yeah, there's a little icon on it that shows that the alarm is on. There we go. If I turn it off, you can see it disappears. That's cool. That's real cool. Now, not only is this a cool device because it's portable and it's dedicated, I also 3D printed a stand for it. So that took a little while. That took about 20 iterations before I got all the measurements right. This is surprisingly a difficult thing to model. It's not even perfect, right? Because you can push it a little bit and it'll fall. So I still need to do a bit of updating on this, but you know, number 3, my third favorite rectangle, black rectangle, I should say. Or black rectangles. You know, a lot of people, they don't feel the need to carry around, oh, peep the Michael Reeves sticker. Thank you, Michael Reeves. Nobody carries around a lighter anymore, and I find that interesting. I always find myself needing a lighter. I found it, a use for it yesterday, actually. At my mother's birthday, we went to a restaurant, and the restaurant waiters brought out a candle, and she blew it out too fast. So so I took out my lighter and I lit it again just for her to blow it out in front of everybody, and it was yeah, I'm glad I had this. But also more generally, you can use it to melt hot glue. That's what I use it most for, actually. I used it this morning actually to melt hot glue. And as you can see here, I don't have the normal insert. I've been thinking about maybe putting the normal insert back in there. But the butane, it's just so useful. It's functional because even though it's not like, it took a bit of trial and error to get this working properly. Once it works, it always works really. And it's almost out of gas. I noticed that this morning. It's been a while since I made a video, so I'm sort of all over the place. My words are not as articulate as I would like them to be. That's okay, we will continue. So, yeah, I need some more butane. What I like most about this butane insert, though, is that the fuel lasts forever. It does not leak out like it does in a normal lighter insert. So we've covered the iPod, which I really like. I've been really enjoying recently. We've covered the Kobo. Yeah, those are custom. Those are custom wallpapers that I put in there. Another cool thing about this Kobo, actually, I should say and actually a lot. I should avoid that. But you can see here, there is a micro SD card slot. Why don't you focus? There you go. That is a micro SD card slot, and I've got a 4 gig card in there right now. I don't really need anything more. I don't have huge books. But with this micro SD card slot comes the freedom and the ability to put whatever books you want on there. So I just plug this into my computer and I load my books onto here, and it's great. It's fantastic. Now, with that being said, Kindles, Kobos, they don't come like this out of the box. Sort of have to do some hacking to get it into this state. What's on here right now is a software called Co-Reader. And there's a few other things. You can read it up in the guide. The guides are like very good for these devices. And in addition to that, in order to get past the initial login screen, when you boot this up for the first time in a new, like from a factory reset, it'll say, oh, you need to log into your Kobo account and all that stuff, all that jazz. And you don't want to do that because you don't want to give Kobo all your information and whatnot. So you can plug this into your computer and run in a little SQL script. It's like a one-liner, and it adds another user into the database on this device. So when you turn it on again, it's like, oh, there must be a user already in the database. So we don't need to prompt him to log in again. So that's what I use to bypass that. And it's a free open source Kindle now. That's cool. I like that. Any other black rectangles that I can show you? Well, I have one that I take with me everywhere. And this is more of an analog device. It's not digital like these, but this is my Moleskine, I think it's a Cahiers notebook. It's a pocketbook. And I use this for a lot. I have a couple of these actually. One that's like this, that's thin and foldable, and another that's thicker and it's a hardcover. And I use that more for my planning. But inside here I have, what do I write down? I don't want you to see that stuff. I think that's fine. Okay. Inside this book is a little Fisher Space Pen that I got for 99 cents at a thrift store. That is insane. Now, thank you, Van Neistat, for your very intelligent repair guide on your Patreon. Because this is not a, as you might notice if you're familiar with Fisher Space Pens, this is not a Fisher Space Pen cartridge, meaning it is not pressurized, and it was like $2. You know, you can't beat $2 for a Fisher Space Pen. And I don't carry this because of the pressurized properties. I carry this because of the form factor, and it fits nicely in my pocketbook, and that fits nicely in my pocket. I do carry another kind of pen Before this pen, I was carrying this, and then this broke, as you can see. It was a very sad day, but I had to repair it with some resin. The whole clip cracked off, and that's so sad, because this is my favorite pen of all time. This is the Pilot Custom 74. Please focus. There we go. Beautiful pen. It writes so well. And ever since I broke the clip off, I was just trying to clip it into my pants normally. I don't know why it broke like that, but it did, and it made me very upset. But before that, I was carrying this pen, and this is my favorite cheap pen of all time. This is the Uniball Eco 0.5 millimeter, or is it 0.05 millimeter? Maybe 0.05. And I really like writing with fine pens, and this one is just all black. It has a deep carry pocket clip, which I really like, and it just does the job for me. And if you look inside, the cartridges are actually very big. You're not supposed to take it out. It's very difficult to, but you can. Anyway, these are not meant to have the cartridges replaced. They are single use, so keep that in mind. With this Fisher Space Pen, I like it better because you can actually take out the cartridge and replace it rather inexpensively. And the metal case is also a very nice touch. It's yeah, just a beautiful pen. Anyway, phone. I should talk about this phone actually. This is a Sony Xperia XC1 Compact, and to keep in the same what is it, pattern as the rest of the devices here, you can see that this is let me hit enter. You can see that I am actually root on this device, and I have full control over it. That's why I like this device in particular. It's because the Sony Xperia XC1 Compact has still has support for updating or unlocking the BIOS and rooting it and putting a custom firmware on that. So that's why I like it so much. Yeah, I think that's all I got for today, really. So phone, clock, iPod, Moleskine notebook, lighter, out of fuel, and my Kobo. Those are my favorite black rectangles of 2025. Thank you for watching. Thank you.